What's up, Army? What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be talking about data. This is make it or break it for your business. If you have inaccurate data, you'll make mistakes, and mistakes in this business cost you a lot of money. You need accurate data when valuing a property, doing the valuation on both acquisition and sales side, as well as you need accurate data when it comes to repair costs. That's a different video we'll talk about. We actually have other videos doing so. Today we're going to be talking about MLS data, which is the multiple listing service, which is all the listed transactions that a real estate agent ran through the license. Now, I will be talking about my personal experience in my market. Some of y'all's MLS systems may be different. There's no way for me to know, but I really feel that they're all gonna be very similar. So what I'm about to share with you cost me a lot of money, tens of, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, because I didn't have accurate data. So if you do not have accurate data, you'll have no confidence in the offers that you're making, if that makes sense. Another investor could outbid you just by a couple grand and take a deal from you. And if you're off by $5,000 on a valuation, that's the difference between a deal or not that could have made you $20,000, $30,000. These blue little dots are a representation of retail MLS owner-occupant sales, if that makes sense. These would be a house that you fixed up and sold to someone who's gonna live in the house and they got a bank finance loan. But then the little red dots over here are investor cash deals, cash offers, or just cash offers bought off the MLS, but still run through the MLS. But what about these little orange guys right here? This is where the data kind of gets a little bit, what is this? Is this really accurate or is it not? So a lot of real estate agents will tell you that in your market, only about 5% of transactions put through the MLS system are gonna be cash sales to investors. Now, I don't know how they came across that. I've never seen the accurate data, but this is very common when I talk to agents that are not investors. That's what they tell me. That's why they say they're a real estate agent, because most of the properties run through the MLS and the accurate data comes from retail sales. Now, to be a real estate entrepreneur, you need to do both sides of the business. You need to be an investor and an agent. Make it in sales, invest it in real estate to create your wealth and build your residual income stream. Now, if you are an owner finance investor, which a lot of you are, what about these types of properties that were bought not through a real estate agent, but just pay cash for and just close the title attorney or the title company and never run through the MLS? This is huge, right? Because most owner finance properties are sold at a premium to the market. And I can give you an example of a property that I know of that I sold for probably $25,000 more than what the MLS Comps said it would sell for. Think about that. What if I did not know that and I would never have bought that property in the first place? So there's a couple different types of properties that are represented by the orange. These would be cash buys that were not run through the MLS system, or owner finance properties that were not run through the MLS system. Because yes, I get it. Some of y'all are gonna say, well, I can pull up the MLS and see the mortgage information if there was a loan put on it. True, but it's gonna be recorded later. Some markets are very slow to record this information. And what if it was 2 months later before it popped up, which I've seen that happen, you missed the data. Now, what if it was a property that, say, because I've had houses where I've taken over 20 grand down on $60,000+ houses, which is a huge down payment, but we had to do it that way just to get the deal done. What if it shows up $40,000 in the MLS system as the loan and the data in the mortgage area inside of real tax, but the real sales price was over $60,000? That's a huge difference when most people would assume that people are taking about 10% down. So you would assume 10% of 40,000 would be 4,000. You would assume that that was a $44,000 sales price or something in between instead of over 60. So if you're an owner finance investor, or if you're an investor in general and you're not looking at accurate data, it's gonna be very, very tough for you to know what the properties sell for. So what you need to do is get out there in the networking circles and talk to other investors that are doing what you're doing in the marketplace to figure out what they're selling the properties for in that area. Now, the real way to do this, guys, is to figure out what market rent is. Now, let me ask you a question. If you were an individual and I came to you and I said, I can sell you a property for $1,200 a month, or you can rent the property for $1,200 a month. You can build equity in the business or in the property going forward, or you can have no equity in the property going forward. What would you choose? To buy and own, or to rent if it was the same monthly payment? Most people would want to own. And now, this is not everybody, but a lot of people would choose to do so. A lot of people think that their house is an asset. That's a whole nother video, right? But a lot of people want to build equity in the property. I get it. It's a great way to create wealth over time and have a retirement for yourself. Now, think about that, guys. If you have inaccurate data and you do not know what the property is worth, when you sell on the back end, you're cutting yourself short. So what most investors do in the owner finance category is they are backing into the property or backing into the sales price where they're making the payment equal to or right around what the rent what the market rent would be for that property on the open market, if that makes sense. Now, another thing is, a lot of you are looking at rental data on the MLS. This is another data center that is not accurate, because what I've seen in my business, this is my opinion, I can't give you the actual numbers on this because it's probably gonna vary, but a lot of people go on the MLS to see what the properties are renting for. Now, who puts their rental property on the MLS? The most inexperienced landlords in the marketplace. That's what the new landlords do. Real landlords rent their own properties. Now, a lot of times I see properties that are average rental property price on the MLS, maybe $1,200, but what we can rent them for is $1,400 or more. That's a huge difference, especially when you're only trying to make $300 or more on a property. That could be the difference of buying that property or not. You have to understand, experienced investors have better ways to find better tenants, and they have better ways to rent their property because they can create more traffic to it to push the property rental valuation up. So these are just some things to think about, guys. Don't just look at the data on the MLS. These are just recorded transactions run through a real estate license. These are not off-market deals bought by investors or rented by investors, and this data is important. So think about that, guys. We'll probably do another video on how to structure the numbers out, how to back into an owner finance price and relate it to rental income. But also think about if you're doing that in the example I just gave you, but you're trying to relate a $1,200 payment to a $1,200 rental property because you saw the MLS said $1,200, but what if the true evaluation is $1,400 and you could have sold it for more? These are things to think about, guys, and we'll put some other videos out going forward. But I hope I kind of piqued your interest, guys. Go out there in the marketplace, find some competitors/partners, which you need to realize that's what they are. Don't be fearing competition, guys. I have another video on the channel talking about many ways that your competition is your partner. And so think about this, guys, going forward. Are you getting accurate data? I'll leave it at that. Have a good day, guys. If you haven't done so, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good day.